Hello and welcome to another edition of Soulivity Live, everyone. My name is Brian Wesley Johnson, and I am so glad you joined us because we have such a great show for you today. We have author and DailyOM co-founder Madisyn Taylor here to talk about her new book, Unmedicated. But before I get into today's show, I want to once again thank our guest from last week, author and research scientist Catherine Tristan. We had such a wonderful chat about her new book, Why Worry? Available in bookstores now. If you missed it, you can always see it by subscribing to our new Soulivity Magazine YouTube channel. Just do a search for our name and subscribe. It's that easy. So why don't we get into today's show? Before we do, I want to make sure that everybody gets what we're going to talk about in context. So I want to give you some facts so that you can understand today's show. Now, according to the CDC, from 2013 to 2016, 48% of us were on at least one prescribed drug. That's almost half the population. And when we visit our physician, almost 74% of the time, it involves some form of drug therapy. And the number of drugs ordered or provided during these visits tops out at 2.9 billion. Wow. Now, lastly, the deadliest forms of drugs in America were not illegal ones. They actually were tobacco, alcohol, and opioid painkillers. They were responsible for more direct deaths in 1 year than any other drug. Now, important thing. While this show and our guests believe in and are grateful for the medical community, we must ask ourselves additionally, are there things we can do to proactively stay healthy and well? And also, what do we need to do to decrease our own use of legal drugs so that we can have a more peaceful and joyful life, instead of sometimes trying to escape our deep pains and our fears through this self-medication? Well, today's guest is going to help all of us in learning how to take our well-being into our own hands and embark on a journey to health and wellness. Let's find out a little bit more about her. As a recognized leader in self-help and New Thought spirituality, Madisyn Taylor has more than 25 years of experience in personal development and alternative healing methodologies. She is the co-founder, editor-in-chief, and content curator of the popular inspirational website and daily email newsletter, DailyOM. Madisyn has written many articles, as well as an online course for Oprah.com, as well as other publications. She is an award-winning and best-selling author of 2 previous books, including DailyOM, Inspirational Thoughts for a Happy, Healthy, and Fulfilling Day. She was also featured in the documentary Sensitive, The Untold Story. Now, in her new book, Unmedicated, it was born out of her own personal experience. You see, Madisyn, plagued by depression and anxiety, suffered from chronic physical problems that left her desperate for solutions. Spending decades searching for answers, she first turned to the medical community, which put her on a roller coaster ride of numerous doctors, tests, and an unhealthy reliance on medications that left her numb and lifeless. Unmedicated is her thoughtful account of how she broke free from binding mental chains and physical ailments to be happy, healthy, and productive. It is also a guide for you to apply her practical techniques to your own healing journey. Madisyn offers this beautiful daily program that builds a lifelong foundation for health. Clear your mind, strengthen your body, nurture your spirit, and find your tribe. So with that, it is my pleasure to welcome to Soulivity Live, Miss Madisyn Taylor. Hi, Madisyn.
Hi, Brian.
Oh, I have been looking forward to this. Unmedicated, y'all. Go get this book. I love this book. Now, I want to make sure that people understand the context before, because we were just talking about this earlier while we were offline. And it's important for people to understand that this book is not demeaning medication. It is not demeaning the medical community. In fact, in the book itself, you say that you support it, you're grateful for it, it saved your life. Correct?
Absolutely. And I'm really grateful that you're starting off with that so that people don't get the wrong idea. Medicine and the medical community and doctors absolutely saved my life. I would not be here speaking to you today if it weren't for medicine and the medical community. What I'm doing and what I'm saying is I'm just making an offering. This is what I did. I chose another path. Maybe you would like to try it too if you're interested. It is simply an offering and telling of my story. I am in no way saying get off your meds.
Yeah, I mean, as I read the book, and I mean, we're going to get into some details a little bit later. This was a story to wellness and self-care that was in addition to the traditional medicines and stuff that you were being prescribed, or treatments that you were having. So it's not this. I think sometimes people look at this and think, oh well, it's all about you just not having any traditional medicine at all. It's like no, 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 no. So I wanted to make sure everyone that you understood that point. This is an and with, not an either or, as my parents would say. Um, yeah, hi, mom and dad. I know you watch this and go, yeah, he got it. Um, I want to read something to you first to get this kind of started up. It's in the forward. The forward is very detailed, which I love because it really provides the whole context of what people read in the chapters. So I appreciate that. This is from my story, The Medicated to Unmedicated. My depression and anxiety manifested because of unresolved mental health issues. I lived with depression and anxiety for so long that I didn't know it was a medical problem. It was simply how I was. It was all I ever knew. Wow. I mean, it's the traditional, if you knew better, you would do better, right? I first want to applaud you because through specifically in the forward, you go into some deep personal disclosure of what you were dealing with, not only personally, but with your family. Um, what are also some of the other important things you want people to know about the context of this book? We talked about the medical community, that kind of thing, but what are some of the other pieces?
Well, this book isn't a book to just sit on your sofa and flip the pages and read what parts you want to read. We all do that. We all get a book and we sort of look at the chapter titles or flip around and read a sentence. This is a book you need to read from cover to cover and then work it like a program. It's not a sit on your sofa and say, oh, that was interesting information. It really is meant to be an action book. It's meant to be worked every day as a program to take control of your life. And for me, everything that's contained in the book, I need to do these things every single day so that I don't fall into the rabbit hole and so that I can continue to stay unmedicated.
Wow, beautiful. Um, you talked about the rabbit hole. The rabbit hole for you started, I mean, early, early, early. I mean, I was kind of teary, got emotional. I mean, just in the first few pages, because again, you really go deep and you really open your heart and tell people what your journey was from when you were a child. So like, when I look back at my childhood, I see so many early signs that I was in trouble and particularly vulnerable to being unwell. My body tended to react to mental distress with physical illness in one form or another. My first panic attack happened around the third grade.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And I have a son who's 11 now, so he just finished 5th grade, and I can't imagine him having a full-on panic attack in 3rd grade. And when I mean panic attack, I mean bolting upright out of bed, unable to breathe, thinking that I'm going to die. And
Mm.
it breaks my heart to think about going through that as a young child, and then not being able to tell anybody, because I couldn't understand what happened, and B, because I didn't have anyone trustworthy in my life to share that with. So I dealt
Wow.
with that on my own.
Well, and I mean, again, we were talking offline and sharing some of our own experiences growing up, and we both had at least one parent that dealt with um, mental illness slash emotional instability. And for you, as I read through again this forward, that's so beautifully written, that through a child's eyes, because people, you have to realize that when you read this kind of stuff, I think a lot of times we think, oh, well, why didn't you just? No, no, no. You have to regress yourself back to when you were that age and see and kind of see it through those eyes. You didn't understand why your father acted the way that he did. And like most children, including me, I was that age, you internalized it.
Course. Well, and you think it's normal because how you don't know any better. I wasn't going to friends' houses. I wasn't going to friends' houses until much later in my life, and then saying, wow, their family looks very different than my family. And my father was a rageaholic and an alcoholic, and he really shut me down at an early age. He taught me to stay quiet, to not use my voice. He taught me how to internalize, because if
Mm.
I use my voice, if I express my emotions, I suffered the wrath of his rage. And I lived, I made a special little place in the closet of my bedroom, my little safe haven. So when he would go into his rages, I had somewhere safe to be. And so all of these skills he taught me that I took on as a young child, none of those served me later in life, especially as a woman. As a woman, we need to use our voice. We need to
Hmm.
be heard. We need to be strong. And he taught me the exact opposite of that. So I slowly shut down and shut down and shut down. Really, I think by the age of 8, I was probably most all the way shut down. And I didn't know also on top of it all that I was an extremely sensitive person. I'm an empath and I'm a psychic.
Mm.
So I've got all these feelers out constantly. And so when I met with rage from a human that's supposed to be loving me and that I'm scared to death of, imagine what that does to a normal kid, let alone a super psychic sensitive child who also knew nothing of what that meant on top of it all.
Right.
Uh, so yeah, and then 2 other people in my household, my brother and my mother, I had to deal with them as well. So we're kind of this big dysfunctional unit.
And I can only imagine, because I'm empathetic myself, that you're getting all this information in, right? You still are in the growing stages of being a child. So you had no way to process this and cognitively or rationally decide, oh, this is what's going on. This
Right.
is what's happening with you. You just internalize it. Like,
Also rewired my brain.
mm,
It wired my brain incorrectly and set me up for failure, and it set me up for anxiety and depression.
wow. Um, let's fast forward into your young adulthood.
Mhm.
You're 25, and you know a lot of stuff starts happening. A lot of this stuff starts to manifest in ways to try to. I look at this as I know it was negative, as you were going through it, but this was your journey, right? You can kind of look back on it and go, oh, well, that's why that happened, right? And I'm reading in here. In desperation, I contacted a neurologist, the best in the state. He gave me all the regular tests, and I did fine on them. Finally, he sat me down and said, "You are the sickest person I know." Wow, what a thing to say. "And I have no idea what's wrong with you."
Imagine
So
being
tell
told
me
that.
about what was going on with you at that point. I mean, how were you feeling? I mean, you went to this guy, he's the best. My guess is you were like looking for him to tell you, okay, just take 2 pills and call me in the morning and you'll be fine.
Yes.
But
So by the time I saw him, I had already, this was 1995, before the internet. So I couldn't Google anything. And I still really didn't understand depression or anxiety or anything. The resources in those days were finding a magazine article. Maybe you got lucky. So I was unable to work at that point. I was becoming bedbound.
mm,
I assumed I had mono because I used to get mono a lot, even though I don't think you're supposed to be able to get it more than once. But and I was having cognitive problems. I remember very clearly one day going to buy toothpaste at the grocery store, and I'm staring at the wall of toothpaste, and right in front of me is a toothpaste I'd used for my entire life. But I sat there looking at the wall of toothpaste, completely confused and befuddled. And that's when I really got scared. All I had to do was grab it and put it in my cart, but I was confused, almost like I was a person with dementia.
mm.
And so there was all these strange cognitive problems. I also had fevers. I was having hot flashes at 25. I had strange pains in my body, like fibromyalgia. Just really a lot of odd symptoms, a lot of soreness. The worst of it, though, was complete and utter inability to function as a human. I couldn't work. I couldn't, a lot of days, get out of bed. And on my worst day, um, my boyfriend at the time, who I later married, he had to carry me from the bed to the bathroom. I couldn't even get out of bed. And so that's where the neurologist came in. And when he said to me, "You're the sickest person I've ever met. I have no idea what's wrong with you," that was frightening because he was the best neurologist in the state.
Right, right. And you're
And
thinking, again, my guess is you're thinking, I've come here for reassurance, hope, optimism, and care. And I'm coming out of this even more afraid than I was going in.
yes, yes.
Now,
And
around this time, too, you started to self-medicate, maybe even before this.
oh, wait, in high school.
Okay,
Yes.
so tell us about that part of it, because again, I want people to make sure that this is in context, right?
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people out here in the world that are doing the same thing, thinking that it's going to make them better or make them feel better. And
So
so tell us about that part of your journey.
So in high school, you have, unfortunately, your hormones are also kicking in. So puberty combined with anxiety, which again, I didn't know I had it, isn't a good combination.
Hmm.
And so exacerbated my anxiety. And so I would literally in high school be sweating so much. I'd have sweat down to my waist.
Mm.
And I was shy on top of it because, when you shut down as a child, I became very shy. So here I am in this brand new school, don't know anybody. I'm shy. I have anxiety. And so learning to cope with things, I started drinking. In high school, I started smoking and I started taking whatever pills kids had, which in those days, you took uppers and downers. And for a person with anxiety to start taking uppers, um, it's just about the worst combination
Mm.
you can do. And so that's how I started living my life. And then I, started getting involved with boys because I didn't have love from my father. And so I really sent out those feelers to boys. And I thought, sex meant love, at an early age. And so it's quite sad, the package that I created to cope with high school. And I'm a smart person, so I was able to survive high school and get grades that let me skate by just because I'm an intelligent person.
Yeah.
I'm really lucky in that regard.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it could have been a lot worse. And so when I graduated high school and into my early 20s, then I started doing the harder drugs like cocaine, which
Wow.
also isn't good for a person with anxiety.
Wow. I mean, look, and again, Madisyn, um, it's why I appreciate how you set this whole story in motion, because if you're not honest with yourself, if you go back and you're not honest with yourself about what's happening in your world, you cannot change it. You cannot move forward in the other pieces that you started to do to kind of build your life, or as I've heard before, you're creating a new normal, right? You could choose to stay where you're at, but you decided, okay, well, there's another path I can create for myself. So I'm going to start choosing this side instead of that side. Um, do you remember when what was the last straw? I mean, everyone who I know who goes on these kind of journeys, even myself, you get to the point where emotionally you're at rock bottom. What was your rock bottom?
Um, Really, it was this illness, which I got shoved into the chronic fatigue syndrome box because they didn't know what to do with me, which nowadays mirrors a lot of Lyme disease.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so my rock bottom was watching my life go by without participating in it. It wasn't blacking out from being drunk or anything like that. It was literally, I'd sit in my living room on the sofa and watch the world walk by my house. And I wasn't participating in life. And I couldn't get off my sofa. And I'd watch my husband go off to work and come back and be full of life. And I thought, is this what the next, 50 years of my life is going to look like?
Oh, wow.
And that depressed me even more.
Mm.
Um, and so that was it. It wasn't a big dramatic
Right.
aha moment. It was really a slow development to
Mm-hmm.
that place, because that's what I'm a baby steps kind of person. So it doesn't surprise me that, um,
See, you were brilliant in that. I was
yeah.
not that way. I mean, a little bit, but not that way. I had to get knocked upside my head, the universal knock upside your head, the whisper, the tap on the shoulder. I wasn't paying attention to that
And
stuff.
then the 2x4, and then you don't pay attention still, and then you get whacked again, right?
Oh, okay, I got it. Wow. What was happening in the family dynamic? I mean, your immediate family with your father, your mother, siblings. What was happening as you were going through all this?
So I wasn't really on speaking terms with
Understand.
all three of them, really. Mostly my dad. I left the house as soon as I graduated high school. I was out of there. I didn't know that you could leave beforehand. I thought he would, I thought my dad would kill me if I left the house. Not literally, but that's how scared I was of him.
Wow.
And so, I really quit talking to everybody because I felt victimized by my entire family. So I really let them all go. And you have to understand that when you're sick and tired for so long, your friends leave you. And so when I had this chronic fatigue syndrome diagnosis, because you don't have cancer or something tangible, people don't believe you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't blame them. After years and years of not being able to go out, of course they're going to leave me. Because we were young, we were in our early 20s. We're not mature adults like we are now, where you wouldn't think of leaving somebody. So I had no friends. So I had nobody. I had the TV. And so, I'd watch QVC, and the QVC hosts were my friends. I wouldn't order anything, but it's like somebody, that was live in my room talking to me. It was very, very sad and very, very lonely.
Mm. Mm.
And then my father died 4 years later, when I was 29, and we weren't on speaking terms. And so I was left with all the baggage of that unsaid and undone work
You
with
think that
healing.
that accelerated things for you when he passed?
Oh, most definitely. And by the way, as a side note, you can repair with someone that has passed over. I'm at a complete place of peace with my father now, and I love it. In fact, he's my ally and helps me now from the other side. Um, but all of these little things, they're all pieces of the puzzle, right? Every little thing that happens in your life is a piece of the puzzle. And so I just had to learn to navigate that. And for me, you know, learning to meditate was really the catalyst to finally embark on my healing journey.
Mm. Well, it's funny that you talked about uh, healing after, that your loved ones are still with you, uh, even though they're on the other side of the veil. And I had to do the same thing. So, people, if you haven't gone through this kind of process, seek some support to do. Never
Mhm.
too late. And the heart opening space that comes from it is unbelievably powerful.
Mm.
It's I can't even I can't even talk about it because it gets me emotional.
Yes.
Um, why don't we take a quick break and then we'll make a turn into some more of the specifics about going from medicated to unmedicated, but more like medicated plus unmedicated. I think that would probably be a better way to put it. So, everyone, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back with more Madisyn Taylor. See you soon.
Hey everybody, I'm Francesca Maxime and want to really invite you into a new conversation, which might feel a little bit uncomfortable to start, Inside Out, with Natasha and Francesca, unpacking racism. Where did we get these ideas? Why are we in this white body supremacist society? What is it to be an embodied anti-racist? I'm with Dr. Natasha Stovall. Natasha, explain what you see in your therapy sessions and why you want to do this show.
I want to do this show, Francesca, because so many white people in my practice are asking, why is it that the world that we live in is so racist, but I don't feel racist? I'm not a racist. And even though I think that's a very sincere question, I think all white people now need to begin from a place of the world that we create is racist, whether we mean it to be or not. So how do we understand and start to change the ways that we have learned, whether it's something we're aware of learning, if anyone who taught us was aware that that's what they were teaching us, how can we help them stop practicing racism even when they don't feel racist? So that's
right.
Where we're starting from, and we're going to go from there. And yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable, but that's what therapy is all about, and that's what therapists are good at.
All right, Natasha, thank you. And everybody who wants to tune in, it's pretty much a show that's going to be about white-bodied folks and inquiries there. And certainly we'll be taking your questions, but anybody can tune in. It's going to be on Facebook Live Wednesdays at noon. We'll look forward to seeing you.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame. Living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
And we are back with Madisyn Taylor. All right. So I want to make this turn into the steps of your program about becoming unmedicated, which is addition to traditional medicine. I'm going to be repeating this, everybody, over and over and over again. It is not a substitute. Addition to. And I'm going to read. It's a little bit of a long passage, but I think it's important for people to really understand. And you say, when we think of medication in the traditional sense, we think about pills taken on a daily basis to provide relief from a specific ailment. Our doctor writes us a prescription for what ails us, and we begin the regimen. Normally, we accept the medication without question because we fully believe it will make us well, and we trust our doctor with our health. In many cases, this belief is warranted. In these situations, the medication has a direct intent and use, and taking for a period of time, it can give much needed healing. Unmedicated offers an alternative holistic path for people who want to heal themselves from the crippling effects that excessive reliance on medication, such as antidepressants, can create in the body, mind, spirit. Wow. That's what I'm talking about, right? This is an addition to, and listen, everybody, I've had education in the benefits of psychotropic drugs, but also therapeutic things that aren't drug, and that you have to have a balance of it, specifically with mental illness. And I think that's where you're going with this, Madisyn.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, so my neurologist put me on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medicine, and you know, we when we're desperate, we do as our doctor says. Our doctor knows best.
Yeah.
But my body became, again, funnily enough, almost unfunctioning. I became like a robot in the world, right? Everything, I was living life, but almost going through the motions of life and not feeling life. And so that's why I use the word robotic. It was like someone else was pulling the strings. Yes, I could now get out of bed. Yes, I could get to the store. Yes, I could consider working again. And I have energy to get off the sofa, but it's almost like a shield was put over me, and like there was another body put into me that is going through life, but I'm sort of in the background, almost like I'm underwater, right? That where you can hear the voices, and like, okay, this is better than being sick in bed, but I don't feel like I'm living my life still. It's like this fakeness. And I was unable to cry. Like I was unable to access my deeper emotions. And so it was a very, very interesting ride from really almost being flatlined in life to be function, but now living life with sort of this hazy filter. Yeah, and so it was better than being tremendously sick. I liked that I could now get out of the house, but it wasn't good enough for me. But you know, I was on an 8-year cycle, of cocktails of anti-anxiety and anti-depression medication. Because what happens is it quits working, and you need
Yeah.
right?
Right.
When you max out on the dose, they have to switch your meds. And all of that is traumatic. Every time you ramp up, it's traumatic to the body. And every time you switch to a new medicine, it's traumatic to the body. And it's almost like you need a month of downtime to get used to it and recalibrate.
Yeah, and I think those are the truths that I think sometimes that not all doctors, but some doctors, they're into a prescription regimen, and when we have to follow our own, self-care, self-wellness to kind of temper that, because there is this balance that you have to have. Speaking of balance, there are two specific questions that you ask when you're offered medication. The first one is there a lifestyle change I can make first to avoid taking? Wow. Tell us a little bit about that. What does that mean?
Let me give you an example. I am actually going through it right now.
Okay.
I have a bladder infection. So this isn't with my mental illness.
Right.
I haven't had a bladder infection in 20 years. So, okay, I don't want to go on an antibiotic. I haven't taken antibiotics in 20 years because I'm not against antibiotics. I just don't want it to mess with my gut flora that I've worked really hard to get healthy.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, what can I do to not take an antibiotic? Well, I can take cranberry juice. I can do the bow yoga pose, the one that goes like this, and I can try colloidal silver. That's an alternative. I tried it for a week. In this case, it didn't work. And so, you know what? I took the antibiotic. And so this is a perfect example of the balance that we're speaking of. Sometimes you just need to take the medicine. I really opted, under my doctor's care, to try the natural alternative way, but in this case, it didn't work. I don't know why. So, okay, thank God there's an antibiotic I can take so it doesn't develop into something worse. And so that's a really good example. And there are alternatives for a lot of different ailments, right? A headache, you don't need to take, the pain relief medicine. You can try an acupuncture or a
we
reflex.
had Michelle Eben on, who was talking about touch therapy, which actually works. People do it.
That little spot right there you touch to get rid of your headache, right? So I always try and look to the alternative first because medicine is very hard on our bodies.
Right. And again, repeat, even you got to the point at which, if this is not working either fast enough, right, where you could get into a serious situation because it's not working fast enough, or it's not working at all, you should be doing this under your care of your doctor, first and foremost, and two, taking the medication or getting the treatment that they subscribe. My guess is too that when you were doing the natural remedies, because I know when I was going through my own medical journey, I did both. As long as there was no interference, I did both because it can benefit. It can help you heal quicker. Right?
Yes.
The second one is so important. Is there an underlying root cause of this condition? Hello.
Bingo. What is causing this? And in terms of depression and anxiety, it's everything that happened before that moment.
Right.
The whole lifetime. What am I doing with my emotions? What am I putting into my body in terms of fuel? It's truly a mind, body, spirit moment where all of those function together. And, it's like everyone has to have their come to Jesus moment in their life, right? And
right.
I always say, I don't care how you get there, just get there. There's many paths to becoming a whole and healthy person.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's, again, this book is about all of that, where it's like, look, there's all these different things that you can try. There's all these natural and traditional remedies that you can mix and blend and that kind of thing that are helpful. Let's get into the program specifically. Everyone, I'm not going to go down and read all of it because you got to buy the book. All right. You might even win one, but I'll tell you about that later. The Unmedicated program is built on 4 specific. pillars,
Yes.
right? And so I'm going to go through each one. And I just want you to kind of give this general overview of what the pillars for
Mhm.
you, and I want to tell people what they mean. Okay. So the first pillar is clear your mind.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me,
It's
but what does that mean? What are you trying to relate to people when you talk about the pillar of clear your mind?
right. So when I say clear your mind, we're not talking about erasing anything. Just
Right.
so people know, we're not erasing our past or erasing anything. It's about gaining clarity. And meditation is a big part of that. Learning to meditate is what enabled me to really get off the sofa and explore further. So I look at clearing your mind as, we are full of clutter in our minds, right? It's big now to clear the clutter in your house, but what about this temple? We need to clear the clutter in our mind. And if you think about, you wouldn't go to work in the morning without brushing your teeth or taking a shower. And so I now look at meditation as a part of that, also clearing my mind for the day. Because if I don't, it's full of clutter. It's got my to-do list and my child and having to go to the gas station and everything else. But when you can put that in the back seat for a minute or 5 minutes or 20 minutes, it enables all of the beauty to rise to the surface, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Everything. So that's really when my intuition just blew open, is when I learned to meditate. And intuition is a huge part of my recovery. Being able to feel, do I want to take this medicine? Do I want to try this natural remedy? Do I want to see this healer? Do I want to, go to this spa? Whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So not only does it set you up for your day for success, it allows what needs to bubble to the surface, it allows it to come to the surface in a really gentle and natural way. And I can't imagine not meditating. Learning to meditate for me just really rocked my world. And it doesn't have to be this,
Right,
going to
right.
India. It's just, when I was so sick, I couldn't meditate. And my meditation was listening to meditation music, flat on my back, which they say you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to sit with your spine straight. I couldn't, I was too sick. So I laid on my back and listened to meditation music. And then slowly I got strong enough to be able to sit up with my spine straight and meditate and clear my mind. So it's really, I'm passionate about everyone just taking time each day to get quiet. And I call it clear your mind. Because really, that's where the good stuff is. If you can get out of your own way and just allow things to surface. And because it surfaces doesn't mean, it can bring up a lot of fear too. And it
Right,
doesn't
right,
let
which
you.
is natural, right? I mean, this is it's the process of, again, getting clarity, getting the quieting the noise,
Mhm.
right? So that all that stuff that you may have been kind of pushing down starts to come up, and you can deal with it and just be with it. It doesn't mean you have to do anything about it in the immediate. Just know that it's there and you journal about it.
Right.
The second one is nurture your spirit. I
Yeah.
love some good nurturing. Now, what do you mean? What do you mean by that?
So, really, this whole program is mind, body, spirit program in essence. And so after you've been done meditating, the favorite thing, there's a few exercises in each pillar, a few sub pillars, as it were. So journaling then about what has come to the
Mm-hmm.
surface is the most important thing for me in the second pillar. And really, this is what's going to help you jump tracks or jump train tracks, right? If you think of your life, you're going straight ahead, you're thinking your thoughts in the shower while you're washing your hair. that's all fine and dandy, but then you don't really make any changes. And so when you journal about what's bubbling up, what that does is it enables you to then jump tracks.
Mm.
So instead of keep going here, you get to go here. And that's where the good stuff
Stuff
is.
is.
That's
Woo!
what's going to change your life. You got to get off your normal track. And so meditation and journaling together gets you off track, which in this case, being off track is a good thing.
Okay. Another one. We're on the third one, everybody. Strengthen your body. And I had to say it like that so that people would understand. Strengthen your body.
Yes. And
tell us about that.
When you're on meds or you want to get off meds or you don't want to get onto meds, we need our temple, this vessel, to be strong and healthy. And sort of, I kind of take this football player stance. It's like you really want to be rooted down and strong and healthy. And so what you put into your temple, everything from the foods, liquids, to the supplements, that you want to create a strong and healthy gut biome, and the physicality of your body, your muscles and your structure. You need a really solid physical body because that's housing your mind and your spirit, right? You need all of these to work in conjunction with each other. Even if you're a disabled person, you can still, it doesn't mean your body can't be strong.
No, heck no. Yeah. I mean,
so in the book, I list some of the supplements I take. I don't like to take a lot of supplements because it does have to work through your liver, and that's hard on your liver. So I really like to eat healthy instead. So I list everything that I do to help strengthen the physical part of our body.
I told you about it. Need to go get this book. The final one, I mean, I love all these, but I think this one is probably my favorite. The fourth, you're smiling already because where I'm. Find your tribe. Oh my God.
Community. Yeah, it's when I was so sick and I was telling you I was alone without friends and family, there's no worse feeling in the world than being alone. And the old saying, it takes a village, there's no truer words. We are not meant to go through our life alone or without help. And help comes in many forms. And in fact, you might be the help that someone else needs. And today's climate aside, have you ever been, for instance, in line at the grocery store and just decided to turn around and make a conversation with the person behind you in line or smile? That could completely change the trajectory of their day. And so you then have become the vessel of community for that person without really even having thought about it. So the idea of finding like-minded people to support you, but then also giving back as service work. So my service work is the writing that I do every day that's free on DailyOM. That's part of my service work. It's free for all. I don't charge for it. And then, there's lots of other good things in this pillar as well, like learning to have fun and really exploring what your purpose is on the planet. So it's my favorite pillar as well, which is why it's the last one in the book, because a lot of the pillars in the beginning I'm asking you to do a lot of work.
Right.
A lot of heavy lifting to be done, a lot of action items. And so this pillar is more your reward.
Right. And it's a self-fulfilling reward because it reinforces the things that you need to do for you as you model to other people who model back to you, and it's this back and forth and back and give and receive unconditional love.
Right.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
And, all of these pillars, they're meant to be worked in conjunction. I call it a program. I don't trademark it, call it a program. It's not something, to be sold and packaged. It's your it's something to be worked as actionable items. And I'm really into action because, like I was saying about when you journal and you're just thinking your thoughts in the shower, it's great to have vision boards. It's great to write down your goals. It's great to sit on the sofa and imagine what you want your life to look like. But that's not enough. That's a great first step, but we need to take physical action in our lives because we live in a 3D world which reacts to action. We don't live in a 5D world where you can just think your thought and have your morning coffee appear. That's not the world we live in. It's a 3D world. So in order for you to create the life that you want using this program, you have to take physical action. Right? It's not enough to just think about it. I have people that say, "Oh, I loved your book. I read it." And then I say, "Well, are you doing the steps? Are you taking the action?" And they're like, "Oh." So if you want to create change, you have to actually actionize what's in the book. Really put it in working order in your life and take the steps.
I want to talking about the importance of taking action. There are some key aspects to that I just want to kind of touch on. I mean, we have a little bit of time here. Talk about, in order to save myself, I came up with a series of actions to cause shift. So you were deliberate in it. And you said thoughts alone will not change your life. You talked about this, but adding actions into the equation will. And I see that as a continuation of the very basic, long time principle of be, do, have, right? Be in the state that leads you to do something that leads to manifesting what you want. So you got all of that works. And then what you have takes you back to the beginning, and it keeps going around and around and around.
It's like magic, really. You're creating magic. And I'm taking that very seriously. That's when you take your action steps, you are creating magic, which is manifesting the life that you want. And for me, that is healthy living, wellness, living a life off of anti-anxiety and antidepressant medication. And so I take these steps every day or 5 days a week at least. I'm out taking my walks. I'm doing all of the steps in the book, my action items, because it is a clarion call to universe. When you do the work, you're saying, "I'm ready, give it to me, universe."
Right.
And it's powerful. It's powerful stuff.
Right. All right, really quickly. All the actions throughout this book are a declaration to the universe that you are ready to start a shift. So just starting the process and getting in here, the universe will say, Brian, you're ready. Madisyn, you're ready. And stuff will start showing up.
Yes.
Because I have suffered from depression and anxiety for so much of my life, it has turned into a constant manifestation that I don't want to really be in life. Wow. Tell us a little bit about that while we have time.
Yeah. It really, it goes into the self-sabotage category, which I'm the queen of. I was so good at it without even knowing it. That's how good I was. And I really had to make the decision that I wanted to be in the driver's seat of my life. That's what it comes down to. And I wanted to be an active participant in my life. And I was tired of just going through the motions. I wanted to be a viable person on this earth and contribute to humanity and raise a child that I break the cycle of pain with and create this new human. I didn't even give him my last name. I've started fresh with this new human, not to put a pressure on him because he's doing it on his own, really. But so it's such important work, the work we do on ourselves, because it is the 100th monkey effect. What we do in our own life affects everybody around us. It affects the entire world. Really, the butterfly flapping its wings here eventually is affected across the globe. And how could that not be with the actions that we take in our life and how we choose to live our own life?
And the last one, but not least, because my inner voice communicated very loudly to me that I was not good enough, I had to take contrary action. I needed to teach my brain a different way of dealing with its reality. You had to create that new norm. Had to, saying to yourself, well, this is the only way, and tell us a little bit about that.
So, in essence, what I'm saying there is I had to rewire my brain. Remember, at the top of our conversation, I talked about how my childhood wired my brain in a specific way to set me up for anxiety and depression. I was lacking a lot of skills in that way. And so all of these action steps helped me rewire my brain to become a healthy human again. And it's not an overnight process. I'm not like feeling like buzzing and rewiring. It was a many year process to get to the point where I'm at now. And it is possible. I call it rewiring your brain. We don't actually have wires in our brain, but it's retraining my brain, making new healthy connections in my brain. And that's what I was able to do. I really saved myself. I saved myself. Otherwise I would be dead. I would have killed myself. I guarantee you.
Which is, again, part of that journey, right? Where you have to admit to yourself the seriousness of what you're doing, and to this last step, do the opposite of what has been the norm.
Right.
Seek some support, seek some help, get knowledgeable, become aware, meditate, take the actions that come from the meditation, journal. Find some new friends. All of these things are part of the package.
Right.
Madisyn, thank you. Thank you for writing this kind of book, right? Which is all about all the other things that we can do beyond traditional medication and traditional medicine and self-medication. That's the other point that you're making in this book. So thank you for being here. Would you come back?
I would love to.
Excellent. We got to continue this conversation. We have to talk. Keep talking.
There's more to tell. It's there's no end to how deep we can go to healing ourselves.
Wow. All right. So stick around. I'm going to do some final little things here to kind of wrap up. All right. Now, everybody, earlier this month, we kicked off an exciting new collaboration with Beyond Work Publishing. And as part of this collaboration, all of you out there get to benefit. We are doing giveaways. We are giving away great things like Paul Bryan's I Ching book cards. You could even win Unmedicated. So this is a great time. And what you need to know is you need to go to and join our Soulivity book club, Inspiration Central. It is on Facebook. The link is right here. And you just join. We'll be posting details, and you could be a winner. And so check that out, and watch that space. Also, we have coming up a very, very special Soulivity Live coming up on Wednesday night, July 29th at 4 p.m. Eastern. The power couple, Richard Cohn and Michelle Astianti Cohen, are going to be joining me at 4 p.m. for a great discussion. We're going to be talking about their journey to success. We're going to be talking about beyond words. We're going to be talking about a whole bunch of different things. So you don't want to miss that. And also coming up next Saturday, we got the Soulivity Power Hour with our hosts from different shows on August 1st at 10 a.m. D'Angelo Thompson, the host of Beauty and Gratitude. Francesca Maxime, the co-host from Inside Out, and Candace Harper, or Candy, the host of Ask for Candy, will all be here to join us. So you do not want to miss it. So unfortunately, me and Madisyn have to say goodbye. But until next time, listen, everybody. I mean, go get this book. Go get Unmedicated. We'll have it as part of our e-commerce, our Go Soulivity site soon, so you can get it there as well. But it's an important reminder that there's more to the world out there than just, you know, narrow kinds of ways to take care of ourselves. Right, Madisyn?
It's it doesn't end.
It doesn't end, and it keeps going. I mean, this is a journey, and you learn so much. So, Madisyn, thanks again for being here. I appreciate you being here. Now, on behalf of myself and Madisyn, Brian Wesley Johnson saying thank you for joining us on Saturday morning, and we will see next Saturday. Soulivity Magazine brings you the best in inspiration on Soulivity TV. Check out our new shows. Mark your calendars for Soulivity Magazine shows by going to soulivity.com now.